Hey crew, I've got the key to this 25 Porsche Cayenne Turbo E-Hybrid, and today we're going to see what it's like to live with. I'm going to start by unplugging it from where it was charging up that battery overnight, and I've got a level 2 charger where I can set the charge time to be off-peak hours during the night, and it just needs a couple hours to fully replenish that battery. Now let's review spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. I've got the Cayenne parked just a few inches in from the edge, sitting next to my 94 Toyota Land Cruiser that is also parked just a few inches in from the edge. And with this parking job, there is plenty of room to walk between the vehicles. The power folding door mirrors of the Cayenne do help. No such luck with the Land Cruiser. There's also enough space to wheel a double stroller through or a wagon for our kiddos. The nose of the Cayenne is hovering over the gutter at the front of my driveway, and that leaves plenty of room at the back to walk along the path in front of the hedge to my front door. When first hopping inside, with the key fob in my pocket, I can put my hand on any of the 4 door handles, and that's going to unlock all 4 doors. And I'll wait until I have the Cayenne parked in a parking lot next to another vehicle to show you the accurate door opening space. For now, let me just slide on in. And the Cayenne is at that perfect hip height for me at 6 feet tall, so I really do just slide in. Hello, cabin crew. Thanks for joining for this day in the life in the 25 Cayenne Turbo E-Hybrid. Now, in this video, I want to focus on that E-Hybrid part of the name. Does the ability to plug it in and have an all-electric range and then hybrid functionality not only benefit the performance of the Cayenne, but also the ease of daily use? And when I first got in the driver's seat, the vehicle turned on. It looked like it was ready to drive, but I do actually need to hit the start-stop button on the left side of the vehicle. Kind of missed the crank ignition here, but whatever. Hit that. And now we see the message that it is ready to go. And this is how the vehicle is always going to start. It's going to start in the E-Power mode, and therefore silently. Let me show you that from outside the car, even though this is sort of obvious. It's not making any noise. So of course, if you're going to start your day early, maybe before your commute, you wouldn't disrupt any of your neighbors as you were sitting there letting the car get to the right temperature. And before we go, I want to show you where I would stick the items I bring with me every single day. Like my smartphone, that's sitting on the wireless charging pad, and you can hide it in there, which is great until you forget about it and you try to leave the vehicle. In the console, there isn't a ton of room in here, but I did have space for a wallet, a granola bar, and my sunglasses because there isn't dedicated sunglass storage in here. I wish there was because these are going to rattle around, but at least when they do, it is felt lined, so the lenses are going to be protected. The door pockets are very large, and I was thankful for that because my 32-ounce water bottle fit easily inside the door, and then in the passenger door, I was able to put my GoPro accessories. So let me throw on my seatbelt here, pull down the gear selector into drive. That will automatically release the parking brake. And though I do have curb ramps to help with the gutter at the front of my driveway, clearance is not an issue at all for the Cayenne. And I did reference having the Cayenne sitting there idling, or rather just on in your driveway in the morning to get the climate control to the right spot, but you didn't see remote start on the key fob. Doesn't mean it's not here. It's on the Porsche app, so you can get that going and also set things like charging times and monitor battery levels and all that good stuff. So I'm starting here in the E-Power mode, and as long as you do have charge left in the battery, this is how you'll begin your day, just silently making your way out of the neighborhood. And it behaves just like a normal EV. It's got instantaneous throttle response. Now, as for how long you'll be able to operate as a pure EV, the EPA gives this vehicle a 24-mile all-electric range rating, but you can see here that Porsche is a little more optimistic. They're saying 46 miles of all-electric range, and I found it to be not quite that optimistic, but certainly better than the 24-mile rating. It's somewhere in between, like 30, 35 miles of real-world use that I've got out of just battery power. And for most people, that's going to be plenty of range for a daily commute situation where you'd want to go all electric power until you got on the highway, and then when you were on the highway, either choose to hold on to the remaining charge for use when you get back off the highway for the rest of the drive to work, or to charge back up the battery with the gas engine. And the way you choose between those options is either here via the dial, so I'd go from E-Power mode to hybrid mode, and then you have to go into the hybrid mode functionality and choose to either hold on to charge, recharge the battery, or in hybrid auto, it's going to, at least around town, intelligently use the gas power versus the electric power. But on the highway, it's kind of going to expense the charge a little too quickly. So I would then on the highway choose e-hold or e-charge. The long and the short of it is that it's enough range to strategize how you'll use the battery power and really maximize your efficiency, but it's not enough range to ignore all the different modes and hope that you'll still have electric charge at the end of the day, at least if you are commuting with any sort of distance. In terms of functionality, if I stay in the e-power mode and there's charge left in the battery, it's going to remain as an EV under all conditions except for 2. If I'm on the highway and I exceed speeds of I think 82 miles per hour, it will then transition to hybrid power and utilize some of the gas engine. Or if I go full acceleration kickdown, then it will trigger on that twin turbo V8. But real life promises that at least some days you're going to either forget to recharge the battery, or you're just not gonna care or have time for strategizing the battery use for maximum efficiency. And that is the beauty of this being a plug-in hybrid. It's just going to use the gas engine and hand off between electric and gas power, ideally as seamless as possible. So let's find out how seamless when I go into the hybrid mode. Still having electric range, it's going to be an EV right now, but if I accelerate a little more, it's going to trigger on the gas engine, but I only knew that because I saw the tachometer come to life. That was incredibly seamless. And that's the kicker for me. That is, I'm gonna be emphatic with this one, the most attractive part about living with the Cayenne Turbo E-Hybrid. The option, at the very least, of being very lazy, never plugging it in, and still being at least a little more efficient than an internal combustion car, or, just trying a little bit, just plugging it in every night and being significantly more efficient while also having the variability of driving characteristics. It's just very nice, but nothing is perfect. And so I'll get to the one little drawback to this powertrain from an around town driving perspective, or even, I suppose, on the highway you'd encounter this too. When you are slowing, and when it's normal slowing, not like I need to really get on the brakes and slow down, normal slowing, the handoff between friction and regen braking, there's a slight delay where maybe a ½ inch of pedal travel, it's like, no, regen braking's enough for you. You don't need friction braking. Then you get past that, it's like, oh, you do need braking. And it comes in a little more abruptly than I would like and what you'd get out of the brake booster with a regular internal combustion car. That I don't love. And also, this being an 8-speed torque converter automatic, I would expect almost an imperceptible transition between gears as you're slowing. At least on the way you pick up speed, you don't notice the changes at all. But when you're slowing, you do feel those defined little lurches forward of gears transitioning. Beyond the powertrain, thinking about comforts and conveniences when daily driving this Cayenne, there is standard seat heating. There's also, as equipped to this vehicle, seat ventilation. That's an option. The ergonomics of these chairs are terrific. Also, the padding is supportive, but also nicely plush, so I sink into the chairs. There's good thigh support. The side bolsters adjust independently as well. And there's 3 positions of seat and door mirror memory. So if you, your significant other, and maybe your older kid all have different body types, you can just have those programmed and punch in when you first get behind the wheel. The only thing I wish could be adjusted a little bit more for these seats is the height. I want to lower it just a touch more, because while I do have plenty of clearance above my head, I want to be more immersed in the drive. As for ride quality, the adaptive dampers do just the most phenomenal job absorbing the road blemishes. It gives true luxury car vibes when you go over road surface changes and potholes and things of that nature. You do hear the bumps a little bit, but that's pretty typical for air suspension systems, at least in my experience. It's not so bad that it's like a pounding in your ear when you go over them. You're a little aware of what's going on. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I am going to show you the turn signal sound, okay? Which is a tone that had to be focus grouped, because it's such a delicate tapping noise that it wouldn't disturb the ears of any individual. Now let's see about the turning radius. And this is a pretty tight environment I've got going on here. So I've got the camera system pulled up and it's got parking sensors, so I make sure I don't have any incidents, but I'm gonna try to get this in one go when I crank the wheel and pivot around. Oh, come on. This isn't even close. I've got so much, didn't even trigger on the parking sensors. There's so much margin on the sides. That's an incredible turning circle. All right, now let's say someone cuts me off and I'm gonna use the horn on them. What are they gonna hear? Oh. Do I hear a tinge of elitism, condescension? This horn is judging you and your behavior. Drive better. And while you're at it, fix that tie. Coffee is just ahead, but my route there will have me on the highway for a while so I can see about things like passing power, and I could go to Sport or Sport Plus with a turn of the dial, or from the hybrid mode, I could just hit the button in the center for 20 seconds of push to pass power. Okay, and there is a lot of it. 700 horsepower and 729 pound-feet of torque means you just point, accelerate, and move. And beyond the passing being functional, I also like hearing from the twin-turbo V8. But what about when you don't want to hear from the V8? When you just want to have a quiet drive to work? Can the Cayenne deliver? Well, let me quiet up and listen for the cabin volume at highway speeds. It's really not bad. I did hear that passing Mazda 3, and this is a louder road surface, but that does mean I'm generating a fair bit of tire noise. Wind noise, not really an issue at all. I think this is a high degree of cabin insulation, but possibly not as quiet as a near $200,000 as tested price point might suggest. Yeah, but there's that pesky traffic. Thankfully, the Cayenne has a lot of really nice driver assistance features, some of which being optional. Right now, I've got adaptive cruise control going, so I don't need to go to the throttle or brake to maintain the following distance to the vehicle in front of me. And it also has steering assistance. So this isn't a hands-free system. I'm just showing you how even on that little curve, jogging back left and right, the Cayenne stays in the center of the lane. And when you're using it appropriately with your hands on, it just means that if you're distracted for just a second, you're not going to deviate from your lane and be in some sort of dangerous situation. These features do really go a long way to reduce driving fatigue. If you're going to be commuting in the Cayenne on the highway in traffic day in, day out, you really want these things. You'll also want a good sound system, and the Cayenne I'm testing here has the optional MilesPerHr high-end 3D sound system. I'm going to take a listen to that when accessing the wireless Apple CarPlay, and this touchscreen is super responsive. Also, the layout is very easy to navigate. I can find exactly what I want, queue up the playlist, and using the physical volume knob, thankful for that, I can crank the volume. Turning it up to maybe 60% there. Let's see what that sounds like. Go a little higher. That's all I'd need. Yeah, there's plenty of punch to the MilesPerHr system, and clarity as well. The bass came in strong, but it wasn't distorting things. Seems like a pretty nice acoustic profile to this system. Even though we weren't listening to vocals, I think it would deliver on those as well. And I've made it to Lion and Lamb Coffee Roasters, which share space with this church, and so the coffee is actually 50% holier. Praise God. So even though I'm still getting a decaf latte, now it's a divine decaf, and therefore almost tastes as good as regular caffeinated coffee while still keeping me from the jitters. I did promise you I would show you the door opening space when it's parked next to someone, so let's do that. This is the first defined notch, and that's the second. I'm still not touching this Acura here, and so the ease of entry is just as great as it always is. And I have my cup holder here, which holds it securely and at the right height for me to grab and go. That's good. Now I think it's time to go get another opinion on this Cayenne, and it's not gonna be Mobile Mama joining me today. It's just gonna be my mama. I'm gonna go get my mom. We're gonna get lunch. That was weird. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Miles.
Welcome to the Cayenne Turbo E-Hybrid. And I picked her up just a moment ago. And at the time, I didn't say anything, but did you realize we were in a hybrid?
I didn't.
It speaks to what I was saying earlier about this being very smooth. You don't even notice the gas engine coming on. And so we were just cruising around silently. And you know EVs because she has a Tesla Model 3, the new one, 24. And you also know internal combustion cars because you've got, she loves Porsche. She has a 993 Generation 911 manual.
Absolutely.
And she also has an Audi Q7. So it's a good spread of vehicles. My mom's actually the car nut. My dad, he likes cars. My mom is the one that was always encouraging of my love of cars. So that's why she's got the Porsche, and that's why you had the E36 M3 before I bought it from her.
Right.
So let me just ask you first, does this feel luxurious to you?
I would say yes. I like the carbon fiber.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
The leather is nice.
2 tones of leather. Do you like the color combo?
Yes, I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, this to me is cafe au lait.
Cafe au lait. I like that. I can't remember what they call this color, but it's not that, and I think that name is better. And it goes well with the Algarve Blue Metallic.
Yes, this actually reminds me of my Audi All-Road color combo.
Oh yeah, so before the Q7, she had an Audi All-Road. And
yes,
so
it
that
was blue-black.
Yes, good color combo. So my question then related to that is, so that's a wagon that's lifted up.
Yes.
You have a spread of different vehicles at different heights. Do you like being lower down? Do you like being up high, kind of like we're now in the Cayenne?
Well, if I'm driving my Porsche, I love that road hugging, like I'm just at the level of the macadam feel.
Yes.
But if I'm doing something more practical,
Yeah.
and I would say long distance driving, definitely feeling up.
Right.
And having more of a panoramic view.
Right, seeing around traffic.
Yes.
Whereas, you know, you're down low and you can't see around people. And
right. And I am a short person.
You are a little on the shorter side, yes. Okay, so you said it's luxurious, but if I told you it was almost $200,000, would you still say, yeah, that's luxurious for that money?
I would say so. Maybe the leather could be a little softer.
Okay, a little softer with the leather?
It feels like more of a practical leather.
Interesting. I've never heard of leather described that way. Appreciate you offering that contribution. That's good. No, it is really good.
It might be because it is that perforated leather where you can get your butt air cooled.
Get your butt air cooled. Yes, this car has air cooling of your butt and seat heating of your butt. That's done right here. Did you realize that in front of you there was a screen?
I didn't when I initially got into the car, and then I began to focus on it.
Yeah, so I can't see that screen is on right now, but it is on. So if I tilt my head over briefly, I can see you've got some icons there. You can tap on those. And would you ever actually use that as a passenger? Because it is an option.
I definitely would. If you're the passenger and you're navigating, you don't have to go there. You can be here.
That's interesting. I never would have thought of that use case, but that actually makes a whole lot of sense. So you wouldn't have to hunt around in here. You wouldn't have to mess with anything that I'm working on.
Right.
I could still change drive modes and stuff and hybrid functionality, and you could be navigating to our destination.
Sure, or choosing music or anything.
Hopping back to your vehicle fleet, your small vehicle fleet right now. Mm-hmm. So you've got the Tesla. So clearly you guys are embracing of all electric vehicles.
Oh, yes.
And, of course, internal combustion cars. What advantage or disadvantage would you see of having this kind of hybrid setup to live with every day?
I think the primary advantage would be it's not an either or. You've got both.
Right.
One of the first cars we ever owned was a hybrid Honda Civic.
The 2004. It was a 2004 Civic hybrid. Yeah. I remember that. Because it was Hillary's first car, my sister.
In talking to people when we bought the Tesla, a lot of people said, well, don't you worry about what happens if you can't charge or you're driving cross country.
Yeah.
And we said no because we've done it a lot. But a lot of people...
But also, I mean, you have like the Audi Q7 that you could road trip in, and you have.
I think a lot of people still need that security blanket of feeling they can go get gas.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think that's valid.
And then beyond the luxury touches, we know that a certain portion of the cost is validated by the driving experience.
Totally.
Yeah. Almost, it's like the primary thing with Porsches.
I would say it's above all.
Yeah, and we'll find out more. I will find out more when I take the Cayenne Turbo E-Hybrid to the right context, the right environment for some performance driving tomorrow. What, if any, concerns would you have with living with this car?
Probably cost to insure.
Yeah, this being an almost $200,000 vehicle, it's the right segment for having a lower insurance cost, it being like a SUV and having multiple rows,
right.
But it being so expensive, it is going to be a lot to insure.
Yeah, a lot depends on where you live.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I would estimate it closer to 4.
Okay. Anything else you'd be thinking about or worried about?
I'd probably just continue my habit of parking at the far end of the parking lot.
And you are trained appropriately in
Yes.
your 993, 911 to just keep that away from potential mishaps.
Yes.
Well, Mom, thank you for your insight, as usual. And I think it's time I treat you to lunch.
Oh, what a good sunny boy you are.
Yes, I am. We're having a kick out of this license plate. Hi-D-Ho.
Yes.
They could have spaced it better, though. They could have put the D like half over.
That's
all right,
very good.
I'm going to parallel park the Cayenne. So let's see how we do. There is room for us here. This isn't going to be very difficult, but all the camera angles do really help with this. Cut in. And crank the wheel. Use that rear wheel steering to help out.
No excuse for not parking like a master here.
Yes. Get tight to that Corolla before. The adjustments.
Beautiful.
We did better than Hi-D-Ho GLE. Well, before our silverware flies away again, it's so windy today.
Yes.
We settled on a salmon bowl from Grace Bowls here, and this looks really good.
This looks incredible.
All right.
I love my grilled salmon.
Fork cheers to a good lunch.
Yes.
I'm gonna finish off my day with some exercise. I need to see how my bike is gonna fit in the back of this Cayenne Turbo. And before I actually can load it in, I'm gonna remove the cargo cover, which is an easy process. Just lift up on this handle and take it out. And I wanna take out the charging cables, which do clamp on here with these carabiners and the tie-down points in the trunk area. Pop that out. Now we need to fold down the seats, and I really wish there were levers on the side of the trunk so I could fold all the seats down at once. All I can do from back here is get the middle one down. For the others, I've got to go to the side doors, pull up on the levers, and push them on down. When I'm finished with that process, the seats aren't completely flat. There is a little incline to them, but they are on the same level as the trunk hold. I'm gonna lay down a towel, then I'm gonna try to get my bike in without removing the front tire. Okay, towel's in, and the last step before I actually load in the bike, I'm gonna make my job a little easier by lowering the air suspension so I don't have to lift it up quite as much. Man, look at that squat. Now the Cayenne is basically the ride height of my mom's old Audi Allroad. Don't think this could get much simpler. Well, the opening is actually the most restricted part of this because lengthwise, there's no issue. I'm not even actually touching the front passenger seat. But I'll tell you why I'm not going to leave it like this. Because of visibility, I'm going to have to look through the bike tire to see out the back when instead I could easily just remove that tire and not have any of those issues. It's just nice to know you can do it, and it will fit much better. All right, let's hit the road. I mentioned a concern for visibility when that front tire was still attached, but with it off like this, it's not an issue at all. And without cargo in it, with the seats up, it's the same deal. I can see easily out the back through the rear view mirror. The view out the front is excellent as well, with the downward slope to the hood. The side glass is nice and tall. The door mirrors are pretty good sized. There is just a blind spot between that C and D pillar. That small window doesn't help a whole lot, but there's standard blind spot monitoring to fill in those gaps. The weather is just perfect for a ride. I will see you guys tomorrow for more Cayenne shenanigans. I've seen what this powertrain can do for daily driving, but what about extracurricular driving? Like a real-world 0 to 60 test. I've got my race box set up here because I wasn't getting reception on the windshield. To use launch control in this vehicle, it's pretty simple. Traction control off, Sport Plus drive mode, hold my foot on the brake hard, pin the throttle, launch control is active, gonna wait to build up the boost, and let it go. Oh my gosh. Go! There's 60 in 3.27 seconds. I don't know if the air was ready to be attacked this morning. Sorry, not sorry. Yes, this powertrain packs a punch, but can this platform deliver on preferred roads? Got another one in there. The driving satisfaction starts with the steering. And I'm sorry the alliterations are out of control today. But anyway, the Cayenne steering is light, but it's so very talkative. And this kind of engagement is something you'd find in a sports car, yet here it is in this SUV. And I'm so very thankful for it, because it really brings the drive to life and matches the rest of the dynamics of this Turbo E-Hybrid, which are incredible. Thanks to things like active anti-roll bars and that rear wheel steering to help tuck into curves, these carbon ceramic brakes to scrub the speed, and then the hybrid boost coming out of corners, getting to the ground with the torque vectoring at the back. What a rush. It is absolutely wild what this SUV can do on a curvy road. Oh, get a kick of that V8 howling out the back end and thrusting this 5,000-pound SUV so quickly. I could do this all day. And I know it's wild to say, but I would make the time on the weekends, take the Cayenne to a good road and explore it. It's not just for daily driving pleasure. It's for more, so much more. And I haven't had complaints with how this automatic has been shifting on its own. But for a little more immersion, I can take control in manual mode and utilize these paddles, which aren't that big and don't travel all that far, but there is a very enjoyable actuation. Oh, yes. And it just enhances the drive. Whee! Whoa! Okay. Now to return to normal life. I'm gonna go catch up with Mobile Mama. We're gonna check out the back seats of the Cayenne and try to install some car seats. Hello, my lovely bride, who is struggling hardcore right now.
Oh.
Got something pinched in the scap area. I have to massage that later, but for now, what do you think of the back of the Cayenne?
Very spacious.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
I like that.
Ooh, foot pockets are big. Thigh support's great.
Yes.
Headroom is generous. Oh,
These
and
do recline, which is nice because I don't really like the shape of the seats that much. There's not much form.
You're right. They are kind of flat.
Is this real leather?
Yes, it's real leather. You're the second person who's questioned the leather.
Okay.
My mom called it practical leather.
Oh, okay.
I would say it's not that bad. It's just not as soft as some
soft.
other leathers I've experienced in vehicles costing this much.
Yes. I like that you have 4-zone climate control, heated seats, 2 USB-Cs.
Yes.
I'm
got all the tech and conveniences.
No sunshades. Okay.
No, tinted windows, but yeah, you're right. Kiddos, they like that full sun blockage, so
Yeah,
that
but
would
you
be
do
good
have
for
a
them.
giant panoramic glass roof,
Yes,
which is nice.
this is a huge roof.
Wow.
And suede headliner.
Yes, that's nice.
That gussies it up a little bit.
Ooh.
Oh,
How much is this bad boy?
Take a guess.
$150.
A little more. It's just under 200K. It's 193. It's a lot of money. But hey, we both have padding for our armrest, and that is the most important thing.
That's good.
Yeah, it's expensive, and some of the things are optional. I wish there were more standard features. We get some goods back here. We've got the space. Let's see if car seats fit. Well, I don't know about you, but that was among the easiest car seat installs I've ever done.
Definitely. The doors open really wide, so it was easy to reach in, no issues.
Yeah, and the headrest adjusts so I could get through to the top tether location. Talia's gonna have tons of legroom here. Let's see about you in the front passenger seat, because I didn't move my seat at all, so I know I'm gonna have the legroom I want. And you, lounge it. Stretch those legs. Back angle good, you're comfortable?
Yep.
All right,
Lounging.
we can say it. Cayenne Turbo E-Hybrid is family approved. All right, it's time to refuel this 18.4 gallon tank, and the EPA rates the Turbo E-Hybrid at 19 MPGe combined, but if you factor in the battery pack as you should, then it would be a 46 MPGe equivalent rating. And depending on which measure you'd use, your fuel range would either be just 350 miles or all the way up to 846 miles. And over the last 200 miles or so that I've been driving, I've seen 18.5 miles per gallon. And just to be clear, that is with the traditional MPGe rating, not the equivalent rating. And at current fuel prices of $4.95 for 91 octane gas that the Turbo E-Hybrid does require, it's gonna cost me 91 bucks to fill this tank. And there isn't capless fueling. I have to work just a little bit harder. Well, crew, at the beginning of this video, I pondered if the Cayenne Turbo E-Hybrid's plug-in hybrid functionality was just for performance or if there were real daily driving benefits. And after quality time spent behind the wheel, I can confirm there are significant perks to this setup. Having the choice of either strategically using battery charge for maximum efficiency or spending minimal effort and still getting fuel economy gains is highly attractive. Without a pure EV's potential for range anxiety or on-the-go charging challenges, the only hiccup in the plug-in Cayenne's driving characteristic is an imperfect handoff between friction and regen braking. Outside the powertrain component, this vehicle is compliant riding, it's spacious, it is exceedingly powerful, and it's family friendly. Of the few things I would tweak would be the option to lower the driver's seat just a little more to have better cabin volume, or rather better isolation at highway speeds, and to have a few more standard features, because that options list can really get out of hand and catapult the price tag of this vehicle. I hope you guys have enjoyed this day in the life, and I will see you again next time.